The definitions of masculinity that exist in the world can be empowering and great for men, and they also can put pressures on men.
What we're trying to do is embrace a more expansive version of masculinity and what it actually means to be a man. You can be strong, and emotional. You can be courageous and vulnerable.
What did you view manliness as when you were a child or growing up? What were you taught?
Boys grow up in an environment of constant uncertainty and fear that they're not living up to the expectations of the group around them. And it's this constant ongoing anxiety that follows us into adulthood.
There are a lot of guys that are just sort of trapped in this man box, and when you're given the permission to sort of step outside of that, it does sort of unleash this flood of oh wow, I've been wanting to talk about this. I've been wanting to connect with somebody on this level.
We have to stop trying to define what it means to be a man. There is no definition, because if you define it, it automatically excludes someone. We all have a responsibility to push back, to not be afraid, to be vulnerable.
This distancing that we're talking about, is robbing men of being their authentic selves, right? We don't have an opportunity to be who we are. I think it's a better question than what does it mean to be a man is, what does it mean to be your authentic self?
The leaders in this movement are women, and I think it's important that men find ways to fit what they're learning into their own spaces, to not become a dominant voice in places where women's voices have already been. It's in those groups where men are amongst other men where we should be looking to share what we have learned.
The event overall for me was a pretty positive experience. I thought it was interesting to see a group of men on stage talking about the positives and negatives that they themselves put out into the world, and then kind of reflect on that.
One of the panelists said he actually knows how to manually turn off his tear ducts. And that really resonated with me, because as a man in society, American society, any society, that's kind of inherent in us. If we start to show any emotion, then we have to shut that down.
I think being a man and being anyone is just learning how to be comfortable with who you are.